Hello, and thank you for tuning into this week's Mayor's Update. As always, we have a lot of important information to share with you here this week, so please feel free to share this video with your friends, family, relatives, and anyone else who you think might find this information helpful over the course of the coming week. I want to start off by saying I hope everyone had a very happy Halloween with the very successful trick-or-treat time that we had on Monday, and I want to say a very special thank you to the members of the Gardner Police Department and everyone else who really participated and made that a very safe event citywide. We did not have any complaints or any issues that were voiced to my office as a result of trick-or-treat on this past Monday. So I just want to say thank you to everyone who took the responsibility to make sure that things were done in a very safe and effective manner and was fun for our students and our children across the city. So thank you very much to everyone for their attention to those details. I want to say also a special congratulations while we're speaking of the Gardner Police Department to some of our new acting appointments and promotions that we've had at the Gardner Police Department. The state legislature still has not yet acted on the city's home rule petition. That's the city's law that's currently before the state legislature to remove the positions in the Gardner Police Department from civil service. As such, we either have to wait for the legislature to act on that or hire from a new civil service list. And now that Chief McAveen and Deputy Chief Maroney have been promoted to their new roles, we have 2 open lieutenant seats. However, there are no current employees on an active civil service lieutenant list as per the city's collective bargaining agreement. So that's our union contracts with the police department. Only existing sergeants can fill existing lieutenant vacancies, and only existing patrol officers can fill existing sergeant vacancies. So while we're still waiting for the legislature to act on that bill, Chief McAveen and I have promoted Sergeant John Chesnowski as the acting lieutenant overseeing the Community Policing Division of the Gardner Police Department, and Sergeant Matthew Arsenault as the acting lieutenant overseeing the Detective Bureau of the Gardner Police Department as well. And for Sergeant Arsenault, that's a position that his late father held before, so it was a little neat to be able to see someone step up in that role like that again. So congratulations to our 2 new acting lieutenants. However, that also leaves 2 vacant sergeant positions that are now open. So Chief McAveen and I have promoted Officer Chris Starzinski and Officer Roger Cormier to the positions of acting sergeant for the next 60 days. Hopefully we'll see some action with regard to the civil service bill that we have before the legislature sometime before the legislative session ends at the end of the calendar year. But if not, we are still working on Plan B on if we need to call for a civil service list and a civil service test, we will do that as well. We do have currently about 5 vacancies in the patrol officers rank at the Gardner Police Department with 2 retirements coming up. Probably 1 by the end of the year and 1 probably sometime early spring. So we are still planning ahead and making sure we have all of the procedures in place that if we have to go through Plan B or Plan C or D, we have everything already set up, just ready to go. But I want to thank Chief McAveen and Deputy Chief Maroney and our HR Director, Deborah Pond, for all they're doing to make sure that we continue to do what we need to with the situations that we're given to while we're still waiting for some actions from Boston. The City Council will be taking up the supplemental budget for the first time at their upcoming meeting this Monday. The supplemental budget, as we talked about last week, is money that's come in, revenue that's come in over budgeted due to new growth. So that's either new construction, a parcel that was tax exempt now becoming taxable, or a parcel that was subdivided. This is not anything new in terms of increased taxes and extra taxes or increases due to just market valuation. New growth is something that's a result of something new coming into the city that we weren't taxing before. So that money now gets added to the budget through the supplemental budget process. Items that are included in there are just increased funding for fuel and energy costs. As everyone has seen worldwide, those costs have been increasing. A additional inspector for the health department in terms of food inspections and housing inspections so that we can start planning for and meeting the current needs that we have for all food establishments needing to be inspected twice a year and housing establishments being inspected once a year. Now that we're seeing, an actual plan for more restaurants and a significant number of new housing units in Gardner, getting ready so that we can hit the ground running with that rather than lagging behind. A part-time domestic violence advocate for the Gardner Police Department, and some other positions, other expenses as well that we're just, adding additional funding to get us through to the end of the fiscal year. All of that information can be found on the City Council's packet. I don't expect the Council to vote on this next week, and I think this is going to be a several-week review process similar to the regular budget, but we're letting people know now. That way, if you have any questions on there, you can find the information on the city's website, or you can contact my office at any time, and we can help walk you through why those items have been included. But that will be coming before the City Council on Monday, as well as the city's Community Development Block Grant program for the next 2 years. This is funding that we received from the Federal Housing and Urban Development Department that is used towards either removing blight or community development purposes, administrative costs, social services programs, and educational programs. Normally, we receive this money on an annual basis from the federal government at about $800,000 per year. This year, the federal government has decided to give us 2 years lumped together. However, we were still restricted to only being able to do 3 development projects this year, but really looking at larger scale projects with increased funding on the $1.6 million we received rather than doing 6 smaller projects. So the projects that are included in that include the demolition of the indoor Greenwood Pool building, the demolition of the Rome building at the corner of Main Street and Willow Street, the construction of a pavilion at the former Greenwood Pool site, funding for the Boys and Girls Club STEAM program, that's science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics, covering the athletic fees for students at Gardner Public Schools who would qualify for free and reduced lunch back when students had to pay for lunch. There's certain different Gardner Emergency Housing Mission, that's the last one, is getting a grant from this program as well. So there's different other programs and projects. Those are all be presented to the City Council this coming Monday too. Again, I expect most things on Monday City Council meeting to either be referred out to their respective committees or requested more time or things like that. They'll be voted on at a later date. But again, we want to make sure people know what's going on in the city so that if you have questions, you can come and ask us, because our job here in City Hall is to work on your behalf every day. So you should know what we're doing on your behalf in our offices. So if there's any questions on the proposals that come up, you can always feel free to get a hold of us and we'll help walk you through those processes and answer the questions that you have. We received a grant from the Commonwealth's Department of Environmental Protection's Electric Vehicle Incentive Program this past week to install 2 new public charging stations at the Gardner Department of Public Works headquarters at 50 Manka Drive. So if you see some construction work being done over by the Salvador's area, there are 2 electric car charging stations that are going to be put in there. That's about a $10,000 grant that we received from the state for that project there. So thank you very much to our DPW business manager, Christopher Coughlin, for putting that together and really getting that funding for us here so we can add a new service to people in South Gardner in that end of the city as well. Household Hazardous Waste Day will be taking place next Saturday at the Gardner Transfer Station. And with that said, we also do want to remind people that next week, beginning November 8th, is yard waste pickup day with E.L. Harvey. So if you have your yard waste, you can put it curbside beginning next week on the day that your trash is picked up. We get a lot of questions about that. Just because a week is listed as yard waste pickup week does not mean the trash trucks are going to be driving by your house every day that week. They will get to your location on your regular trash pickup day. So make sure you are planning ahead for that as well. And with that said, we just do want to remind people, if you are removing leaves from your lawn, make sure you don't move your leaves into the road, especially in a catch basin. And if you see a catch basin that's there that's clogged up, do what you can if you could to help unclog it there. We had some issues the last rainstorm where we had a couple streets get a little flooded because the leaves had clogged the rainstorms, because people had blown their leaves out into the street rather than collecting them the proper way. So we're just asking for everyone to please play their part in the team that we really have going here to keep everyone safe in the city when they're driving on the roads. I want to say congratulations to Bouchers Funeral Home, who will be celebrating their 75th anniversary this coming Wednesday through the Chamber of Commerce Business After Hours event. Several people are really familiar with Bouchers Funeral Home, so I just think it's good to call them out and really recognize a local business who's been in the city for several decades and now 75 years. It's really great to see that family business continuing and continue to grow in the city as well. They also just received a $50,000 grant from the city through our facade improvement program that we've received. We're able to give out through some of our American Rescue Plan funding as part of our economic development package, as well as 8 other different buildings in the downtown area. So just a business that's been here for a while, continuing to invest here for a while and making it so they'll stay here for a while is always great to celebrate. So just congratulations to Jacob Cormier and his team over at Boucher's Funeral Home, and wishing you the best of luck on your next 75 years. Next week is Veterans Day. City Hall will be closed on Friday, November 11th. In observance of Veterans Day, however, the Gardner Veterans Council will still be putting on their annual Veterans Day event at 11 a.m. in Perry Auditorium here at Gardner City Hall. Again, 11 a.m. on November 11th, Perry Auditorium. The Gardner High School Wildcat Marching Band will be performing. Several people will be speaking as well. This is an annual event that happens every year, and I want to thank the Gardner Veterans Council, which is made up of representatives from all of our different veterans organizations from across the city, for putting this on again. This is really a private event that they put on together that we just host the location for, and we're really happy to be able to partner with them to continue these very important services that we have in recognition of our veterans in November and Veterans Day, and then partnering them with again in May for Memorial Day. Lastly, we just want to remind people of a couple of things coming up next week. First of all, daylight savings time is happening this Sunday. We fall back, so don't forget to change your clocks. And then this coming Tuesday is Election Day. Polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Ward 1 will be at the Elks, Ward 2 at the library, Ward 3 at City Hall, Ward 4 at the police station, and Ward 5 at the Polish American Citizens Club. If you have any questions on voting whatsoever, contact the city clerk's office. Mail-in ballots should be sent in soon or dropped off in the ballot box in front of Gardner City Hall. Per the new Votes Act, we have until next Saturday to receive a ballot in order for it to be counted in the results, but don't be someone whose vote doesn't get counted because you don't get it in too late. The Votes Act does provide a little leeway in that we have to wait 3 days after. It's 4 days this year because Friday is a holiday, so that's why we have to wait the extra day for Saturday for the mail to come in before the city clerk's office can close and certify the election. However, do everything you can to make sure your vote counts. If you haven't sent in your mail-in vote yet, drop it off. If you're coming to vote in person, that is over until you go to the polls on Tuesday. So you can either vote in person on Tuesday or drop off your mail-in ballot. However, everything needs to be received either in person by Election Day or postmarked by Election Day and then received by that Saturday. So there's a lot to go on. Make sure your vote counts and get out and vote, because it is all elections are very important, and we want to make sure everyone has a chance to have their voices heard. However, that concludes this week's Mayor's Update. As always, if you have any questions, you can always contact my office at any time, and I look forward to speaking with you again soon. Thank you very much and have a good day.